Just this week, we were reminded of how dark money operates. A right wing dark money group called the Judicial Crisis Network, well known to most senators, has targeted Vanita Gupta, President Biden's nominee to be Associate Attorney General, with an ad campaign with vicious and blatant lies. In a recent editorial, the Washington Post called the ad that they are running a, quote, baseless smear campaign, categorically dishonest, and mainly notable for the magnitude of the lies and distortions it crams into 30 seconds. This wasn't our first experience with the Judicial Crisis Network. They are certainly known for spending millions of dollars in dark money to block the nomination of Judge Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court 5 years ago. What an irony that today Judge Garland gets his next assignment in public life, with a bipartisan vote, I might add, in the United States Senate. Maybe that's a portent of good things to come. I certainly hope so. I'd like to know more about the Judicial Crisis Network. I'm not saying they don't have a right to speak their mind, but I think we have a right to ask, well, who paid for it? Who's really behind this effort? You know, when you bring up this question with some, they say, well, if you disclose the sources of money for these dark money efforts, it will scare them away. They don't want to be terrorized by the press or anyone. They want to be able to just exercise their corporate free speech or free speech, whichever it is, and to do it without fear of retribution. Interesting. To argue that point of view with a group of senators who are obliged under law to disclose all of their donors virtually, certainly any significant donors. We live with that. That's our standard of operation. There may be many areas that could be questioned about how we raise money for campaigns, but certainly disclosure is not one of them as far as I'm concerned. I think it is perfectly appropriate to disclose the people who contribute to my campaign. Now, having said that, we all know what's going on with super PACs and other entities, and I'll save that for another day. But I will just say that the bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, is this. I don't think any of us have any doubts of how the American people would answer the following question. Do you believe we need longer political campaigns? I think I know the answer to that. Do you believe that we need more people putting negative ads on television in their campaigns? We know the answer to that too. And we are now reaching a breaking point, I'm afraid, in this whole process that is going to discourage the common woman or man from even engaging. So I salute you for bringing this issue before us. I'd like to make one last point. In the notes I've read in preparation for this, I understand that now this dark money effort is going toward the voter suppression campaign across America. In 40 states, 250 proposals, all of which are designed to restrict voting in America. Now, I'm an amateur student of history. I quickly underline amateur. And I see recurring themes. Ku Klux Klan appears and reappears about every 50 years. If you look at history, 1865, 1915, mid-50s to 60s, and now again in some new form. The effort of voter suppression appears and reappears in history. When it first started in 1890, during the Jim Crow era, there was something called the Mississippi Plan. The Mississippi Plan was an ingenious device by racists to preclude blacks from voting. Count the butter beans in a jar, answer questions on the Constitution, pay a poll tax, literacy test. All of these were designed to stop African Americans from voting. They were successful. They drove down voter participation in some of the states in the South in the 20th century, beginning of the 20th century, to levels we've never seen before, thank goodness, and won't see again, I hope. But it worked. And now there is an effort underway to impose voter suppression across the United States again, to suppress the votes of black and brown people. Why is this a recurring theme in American history? And what does it say about us that we want to make it more difficult for people to exercise their right to vote? If there is fraud, go after it, whoever's benefiting from it. But certainly this president has proven claims of fraud don't meet the laugh test or even the evidence test when he takes them to court. I'll close by saying this. Monday of this week, the last Trump case to go to court went to the Supreme Court and was dismissed without comment. It's an indication of even a president with millions of dollars cannot manufacture fraud where it doesn't exist. So I would say the voter suppression efforts across this country are a sad commentary that we have not learned a lesson of history. I think we all understand that if you're going to win an election, you have to have a winning message. Simply deciding that you'll reduce the number of people voting is not a winning message.